I don't know if you like kvass or if you like beet kvass, but I suggest we make it. There are actually a lot of reasons for this. First of all, I started wondering why kvass is made from malt bread, black, dark bread, or from beets. Why isn't there pear kvass or great kvass? I mean, there are some mixes later on, drinks that are kind of based on kvass or with added flavors, but fundamentally, there's no peach kvass. It all actually depends on the composition of the product, meaning the microorganisms, the amount of sugar, and the level of acidity that a certain mix of these microelements can create in the product, and whether this will provide the potential and opportunity for lactic acid fermentation. In general, there are two types of fermentation that take place in kvass: alcoholic fermentation, which is carried out by yeast. We get the yeast either from bread or from the surface of another product. And both bread and beetroot are naturally products that contain the necessary bacteria, microelements, acidity level, and sugar content that promote proper lactic acid fermentation and the creation of a drink like kvass. You can add a bit of pear, apple, or some ginger to the beet kvass, either at the beginning or later, to highlight certain flavors. But the base for us initially is beetroot or bread. I think you've already had enough kvass with bread, so I suggest we make beet kvass this time. Secondly, well, I said first of all because it's really interesting, right, why beetroot specifically? Secondly, it's incredibly healthy. It's a probiotic that definitely has a great and only positive effect on your gut microbiome. It cleanses the body, improves your overall well-being, enhances your health, and boosts your immunity. Kvass is also beneficial for people with heart and cardiovascular diseases. It helps lower blood pressure. Of course, you should consult your doctor before consuming it to know in what amounts, right? You can start with a spoonful or two, and then gradually move up to a glass a day. Secondly, I want you to try making borscht at least once with the addition of beet kvass. It's incredibly tasty, and in the end, it looks beautiful too. When you add beet kvass at the end, the borscht gets an incredible color. There's no extra sweetness. It has just the right tang, a bit of fermentation, and on top of that, it's healthy. Yes, we're talking again about microorganisms, about probiotics. In general, this whole area of live yeasts, microorganisms, wild yeasts, that's our future. That's the direction we're moving in for self-preservation, thanks to food, thanks to the right foods that we put into our bodies. And if you can also control this, not buying, not consuming just anything, then that's basically a guarantee of a long and, moreover, a high-quality, happy life. Beet kvass is actually easy to make. So, what else is kvass? Well, kvass is about the level of acidity I mentioned, the one found in beets, for example, or in bread. And that's pH. Basically, pH means either an acidic environment or an alkaline one. This pH is measured from 0 to 14. On an industrial scale, when kvass is produced, of course, all of this is adjusted and controlled. This is adjusted with additional starters, extra sugars, or bacteria. Or you can use litmus paper to measure the pH, and for kvass, it should be between 3.5 and 5.5. Or you can use a pH meter like this one. It's inexpensive. You just dip it in and instantly see the result. We treat clean, washed, peeled beets. Remember, it's all about the bacteria. We don't pour boiling water over them or blanch them. We cut them into fairly large pieces, about 1 centimeter thick. There we go. All right, anyone who's been with me since the first year of culinary school will remember these cutting techniques. So this is macédoine. That's the name of the cutting technique. We cut up all of these beets. And who would have thought that while talking about beets, we'd end up discussing lactic acid fermentation? Yes, lactic acid. But yes, that's how it is. The world of bacteria is just incredible, truly amazing. You could study it forever and still not learn it all. By the way, if our pH gets too low, yes, below 3.5, then we'll end up with acetic fermentation instead. What I'm saying is, if the kvass doesn't turn out, we can always make vinegar instead, so don't worry. All right, let's transfer it into a jar. I'll repeat, this is an extremely healthy thing. So for kids in small amounts and for adults, you can dilute a few spoons of kvass with mineral water, for example. Right? Of the quality of life, your body's health, it's not about some drastic measures, like thinking, I'll go to a health resort for 2 weeks and that's it. I'll cleanse myself, drink some water, do all the detoxes, blah blah blah, and life will get better. No, it's about everyday routine. We usually come to this realization as we get older, right? And we stop believing in magic pills and all those miracle cures. A bit of probiotics here, something else healthy there. It should be present in everything you touch and everything you put into your body, you know. Yeah, raisins. Actually, you can skip adding them, but then the fermentation process will take a bit longer. And I just feel more comfortable using raisins because on grates, on their skin, you know, there are already those natural yeasts we need, which will really help to start the fermentation process. So the fermentation will definitely start and go really well. And they won't hurt the taste either. They also won't affect the sugar in any way. They won't harm it, because for the sugar to be converted into alcohol and carbon dioxide, for those bubbles to form, the yeast bacteria will consume this sugar. Got it, right? We can't do without sugar. Beet have their own sugar, but you still need to add some extra. For about 2 liters like this, around 100 grams of sugar is enough. You can raise it up to 150, but the less, the better. And remember, this is the sugar that will be consumed. It's just like the sugar that's naturally present in flour. Yeast also consumes it, for example, wild yeast or any kind, right? So, what am I looking for? I'm not looking for anything. I just need clean water. Again, water affects the final taste. That's important. So use good, tasty mineral water. Yeah, don't boil it. Don't distill it 1,000 times. We just pour in clean drinking water. As always, leave a little bit of space. That's it. So that no one escapes from us. Mix a little. That's what I wanted, a mixing spoon, huh? Or a spatula. Yes. There's no need to stir anything up there anymore. No need to peek at him. Just glance around to see if his eyes have grown. Just look conventionally, right? And at room temperature, we leave our beets to ferment, to generate life, microflora, probiotics, and everything else for about 5 days. If it's a bit cooler in the room, then the fermentation will take longer, right? Always remember that temperature affects the timing. So don't worry if you don't see any bubbles after 3 days. Maybe it's just a bit too cold still. Never put kvass on the windowsill where direct sunlight will hit it. That's it. It should be in a neutral spot, like near a shelf or by the curtain. Cover it with a bit of cheesecloth, just enough so nothing can get in. Just lightly cover it with a lid like this, and that's it, it'll be ready. If I get the chance, as a bonus, I'll also show you how to make borscht using my own recipe with Beet Kvass. Or there's also a Ukrainian dish called shpundra. Yes, that's pork stewed with beets, in beets, and with the addition of Beet Kvass. That's also incredible. You can use these beets just to eat as they are, add them to salads, make some bruschettas, for example, or use them to season side dishes. It will have a slight tanginess, very pleasant, and a bit of a tingle on the tongue. Plus it will contain the same probiotics as kvass. So it's going to be very healthy. I'll give you the details about the pH in a separate document, so you always have them at hand. All right, we're awesome. Kvass is coming soon.